Hi guys, Luna here, and this is another book review, and I'm going to try and keep this one quite minimal and simple. This book review, as you saw in the title, is The Woods by Vanessa Savage, and it's my third complete read of the year, and it's only February, so I'm very proud of myself considering I only read one book last year and this is my third one and it's only February. I definitely feel a rush inside again from reading and it makes me extremely happy. So yes, I'm just going to be referring to my blog post, so if I keep looking to the side, that's why, because I don't want to miss anything. I'm really happy that I read this book, but at the same time I was left feeling very cautious about horrors. This book really is something else in my opinion, and if I'm honest, I'm not quite sure how to feel about it, but that doesn't reflect anything on the book itself. It's how it's written. It's almost too relatable, and the way it's written gives you a very uneasy feel the whole way through the book. It's quite an uncomfortable read. It is again, it's more so very well written rather than not very well written, and I say that completely honestly. I suppose different people will feel differently about this book. It's like a film, I guess. Some might be excited and pumped afterwards, and others might not like it and might have questions and queries. Me, after this book, I felt anxious, uneasy, and almost like I'm not quite awake, like a lucid dream. I know that's quite strange, but honestly, if you've read this book, I would absolutely love to know how it made you feel, because I read this in a day. Well, I read most of it in a day. I read about that much in a day, and the reason why I read it in a day, it was a Sunday, and when I carried on reading it, I know this is going to sound really bad, I wanted it to finish, but I didn't want to miss out on the story and the ending, because I really wanted to find out what had happened, because it was so intense. So I read it for the entire day, and when I finished I felt really anxious, really on edge, and yeah, it's a very intense book, and I'm quite a strong person and I'm quite in touch with my mental health, but this honestly made me feel really anxious and very bizarre inside. I'm glad I've read it though. It's definitely shed some light on how different horror books are written and how different crime books are written, because I really loved Stephen King's Sleeping Beauties, and that was gory and that was horror and sort of paranormal. This was more like, oh my god, losing my faith in humanity kind of book. Like the way that people treated the main protagonist, Tess, it was just awful, and it just made me think that if I was in that situation, I would just, I don't know, want to run away, want to leave everywhere. And I'm not sure if it's empathy or not, maybe I feel too much empathy to the main character, but I almost put myself in her shoes, and the situation is literally awful, and yeah, it's just horrible. The whole situation is. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I know you're probably thinking, but you've just kind of slated it. Honestly, it is a really good book. It is a brilliant read. It is just a very uncomfortable read, and for those of you who maybe struggle with your anxiety, I would be very wary about this book. Again, Vanessa Savage, clearly really well thought out this book. You can tell that it's had a lot of effort put into it. You can tell that it's a very well written book, but the contents within it, oh my goodness, yeah, really intense. It is a very interesting and complex storyline. It's full of very interesting characters. They each play a major role in the story alongside, or should I say against, our main protagonist, Tess. When I started reading it, I felt like it was quite slow at first. The first few days I was on and off with it. I'd only read like a chapter in one sitting, where I'm usually like I said, like I read the whole book in the other, but yeah, so it was quite a slow start, and also I had a family bereavement, so yes, but after quite a slow start I vowed to get stuck into it on a Sunday and just read and read and read. So yeah, I realised I couldn't put the book down. I was determined to get through most of it. I'm not quite sure that was a good idea because, like I said, it made me feel very on edge. And yes, but at the same time, to be honest, I don't think I would have carried on reading it if I would have left it any longer. And I'm the kind of person that I can't just walk away from something unless I know the ending. So I was like, no matter how it's going to make me feel, I want to finish this today because I really don't want to think about the storyline again, ever. So after this review, honestly, unless it's other people talking about it, I really don't want to remember it because it really triggered my anxiety. Yeah, I think it's more so about how you feel whilst you're reading this book and what your current situation is. I was in quite a delicate mindset during reading it due to the bereavement that I had, and also just a high anxiety. And throughout the book, you're almost, the same as a film, you're almost holding your breath during the anxiety-inducing moments. It's a very gripping story, and it's got tons of realism to it, but also disbelief. It's almost like everything is so bad in this book, you almost go, God, give Tess a break. Yeah, what Tess is going through is literally my worst nightmare, and I literally went on this journey with her, and I felt her emotions rise and fall as she progressed through the story. I felt her anxiety, her pain, her depression, mental health strain, and the life of lies that she's led. And I can't imagine how going through what she went through at such a young age and how it's followed her throughout her entire life. I just can't imagine how that would make you feel. Yeah, what I've put in my blog review is that I felt like I couldn't escape because I was so empathetic towards Tess, yet I knew that she held dark secrets throughout the book. It's quite evident, and it scared me in a way that she had these secrets because my empathy towards her was so intense, and I thought, what is she hiding? And yeah, it's one big false sense of security, this book is, which kind of makes it brilliant. So I will leave that to you to decide whether you really like it or not. It's very well structured, and the feelings that you get when reading the book are very real. You almost feel a negative vibration from the words on the page when you're hooked to it, and it makes it sort of a terrifying tale. Vanessa covers some very real issues in this book, starting with death and uncovering a web of lies, family feuds, toxic relationships, loss, mental illness, crime, and even paedophilia, which again, it was very triggering, very touchy, and I would be very cautious reading this. You really feel for her and how her situation would be one of the worst things you would possibly go through. You might be thinking that this is a negative review, but honestly, it's just the truth about the power of a well-written book and a well thought out storyline. It could have easily fallen apart if it had not had a good author and if it had not had someone who had put a lot of thought into it, but it didn't. And Vanessa clearly has a very good writing style, almost too good. There are so many elements and loose ends to this book that she needed to try and get right, in my opinion, and she did. The mere fact that it impacted me so much means that it's a pretty good book within its genre. I would recommend it, but again, with caution. It is very triggering to those with mental illness and PTSD, and it's very open and touches on a lot of sensitive topics. And put it this way, it does not try to be dodging subjects. It is full on this. Yeah, it is very matter of fact, and if it's going to happen, then you'll know it's going to happen, probably without warning as well. If you would like to read this book, please read with caution. Maybe read it during a bit of a stronger day for your mental health. And if you do struggle with PTSD, or if you have been through abuse, please take care, and again, please approach this book with caution. I really struggled reading this book, and I'm very glad that I finished the book within a day, because I don't think I could have lengthened it out for that long time. But yes, Vanessa Savage is clearly really good at writing. I'm not sure if I would read a Vanessa Savage book again, not because of any criticism about her writing, just because of my own mental health state and how the books make me feel. So I hope you have enjoyed this little book review. I know it's been quite a confusing one, and yes, I'm also in a different setting now. I painted the back of my bed, not literally, but the wall at the back of my bed white, because it was just much more comfortable, and I just thought, when you're reading a book you want to be super comfortable, so why not do it with the comfort of my own bed behind me? So yes, I hope you've enjoyed this. I realise my hair has been a bit messy, and yes, thank you for watching.